She is a mother, a songwriter, a Grammy Award-winning artist with over 30 million records sold. She is a cultural icon with too many number one hit singles to mention. She is here today as one of America's favorite recording artists of all time, the legendary Amy Grant, talking about balance with me, Jesse Dillon, on The Good Life. Amy, how have you remained sane after all these years?
Well, am I sane? It's so funny, Jesse, because when you were doing that introduction and you say all those things, I go, who is that? Who's that woman? And I think, like everybody else, I wake up in the morning and do what's in front of me that day. And we all have jobs. We all have responsibilities. I've just never seen what I do as being any more or less important than what anybody else does. And I think that's a big part of sanity, is just fitting in the big picture. And it's funny, like doing a video shoot, it might appear that the person that's being filmed is the most important thing because they've got someone doing their hair and makeup, but anybody that's ever been on a video shoot knows that the person who's doing the food is the most important person, because if everybody's starving, the whole crew's in a bad mood. So just looking at life with some practical sense helps you stay level.
Vince Gill and yourself, Amy, have had amazing careers and continue to have amazing careers. How does that work, the two of you, in this business together?
Well, first off, Vince, we are just absolutely amazed that we found each other. And our life is sometimes very calm, and we're both at home, and things go as normal. I do mostly mom things. He does a lot of session work, recording and singing on other people's records. But, there are days and weeks that go by that nobody would watch our lives and think that we had public careers. And then there are times, where we go on the road separately or together, and then we're in some kind of a different schedule. But he's my best friend. I mean, we get along so well and have from the minute we met. And I'm wild about his musical talent, but I just like him as a person even more. And he's a great friend to grow old with. I'll look at my face in the mirror some days, and I'll kind of pull my skin up around my eyes, and he'll go, "Don't you dare take a knife to your face." He'll say, "You let me watch you grow old, please," because that's what life's all about. It's nice to have somebody that you love and who loves you be around all the time. I don't know what else to say, but I'm glad we found each other.
How has the music business changed for the better or for the worse since you've been in it this many years?
Wow, Jesse. Like everything else, the music business, it's more and less complicated. I think that we are seeing a generation come up that is absolutely computer and Pro Tools savvy, and anyone can make their own record, and it can sound unbelievable. That didn't happen when I was growing up. When I was growing up, you had to have at least money of your own or a record company who believed in you. And they would pay for you to go into a recording studio. And now, it's like, I just have this book that came out, but the fact is, anybody that has a blog basically has their own book. It's just different, I feel like that the music business was more patient with artist development. When I first started 30 years ago, they didn't expect you to be hot right out of the box. You were allowed to kind of discover who you were creatively, and sometimes you were 5 or 6 records in before you got a hit. And now, unfortunately, I think that there's a lot more pressure to be an immediate sensation, and if you're not, then the attention goes to somebody else. And from a creative standpoint, I think that's a big loss. But I don't know. What do you think? You've seen all this and participated in a lot of it.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, the rock band, I'm assuming we can label them as a rock band, Radiohead, just pulled off an interesting stunt, as you know. They said, hey, pay us what you think our download is worth. No record labels involved. And they've taken in somewhere between $10 and $20 million with downloads since they opened up their website to the rest of the world, which certainly has a lot of artists thinking about how they should distribute music. And I don't think the record companies are remotely close to figuring out how to distribute music anymore digitally. Who knows? Maybe it'll go to an advertising model at some point in time where music is free, but the strength and success of the downloads will be augmented with advertising. It's a bizarre world we live in.
It is a bizarre world, but you know what allowed Radiohead to have that freedom was the years of investment that a record company made in them. You know what I mean? Because that was what, I mean, their talent warranted that. But in the past, that was really to have the voice of a big record company invest in an artist gave them the chance to stick out head and shoulders above all the other equally talented people that just were not given that opportunity. I think there's no way to know who will be most memorable from the artists coming up now until 20 years have gone by. And, I was an avid record buyer when I was a kid, and it's interesting. The records that I still pull out are, I could not have anticipated that. When I was a kid, I listened to all kinds of things, a very eclectic record collection, everything from Aretha Franklin to Jethro Tull to some singer-songwriters I can't remember, to Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Elvis, Three Dog Night. And I don't think anybody could have told me then, your Aretha Franklin records will come out more than anybody else's. I didn't know, but they do. And that's just for me. But it's interesting. I'll be curious what records or what recordings my children will go back and unearth when they're in their 40s going, oh, I loved this as a kid, and I still do.
But my kids, I've got 3 boys, Justin, Josh, and Joel, aged 20, 18, and 15. They're now listening to Beatles records, but they have no idea who the Beatles were.
Right, absolutely. There's a great, I think it's a 5 DVD set that Vince and I got. And we both grew up on the Beatles and loved them, and this is the most brilliantly done documentary I have ever seen. I think it's over on his bedside table. If I could stretch the phone cord over there, I would tell you the name of it. But anyway, fortunately for all of us, there was so much great documentary footage of the Beatles, even before they hit it big, from their time in Liverpool. And anyway.
And what's interesting is I was talking to Bob about who he thought we'd be talking about in 25 or 30 years, and it's people like you and the Beatles that we talk about 30 years later after your first hit. Here we are, and we're still talking. What words of wisdom or what thoughts would you like to leave our listeners with today, Amy?
Oh, I would just say this is the only day we have, this one right now that we're in, and make the most of it. How you live this day matters.
Well, I want to tell you what a blessing and what an honor to have you on today.
Thank you. Thanks. It's really been enjoyable. It's fun to talk to a music lover.
Love music. I have eclectic tastes and have been in this business for years. And one day I'm going to show up on one of those television shows where they say, name that tune, because I'm going to win.
Good for you. That's great. Well, thank you, Jesse. I appreciate your time.
Amy, I appreciate your time. I know you're busy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.